A long time ago, a man by the name of Chris was still a relatively young traveler. He just so happened to visit Alaska. The tourist was drawn to the area's enigmatic natural beauty, but his primary objective was gold, which Chris and a group of enthusiasts dug there. They generally stayed in small groups since it was risky to venture out into the wilderness by yourself. However, it so happened that the man left the cabin with his friends staying behind. Many of them were just tired and wanted to relax since they had colds. Chris made the decision to go on a quick expedition, even though he was aware of the risks. At that moment, he had no idea that he would be facing a predator rather than gems. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Chris was trudging in the snow. He was heading slowly towards the riverbank, almost 2 kilometers from the camp, when he suddenly noticed a big dog. He was taken aback. In the woods, what could a lonely dog be up to? Chris guessed its owners could be in the area. The animal displayed hostile behavior. The man, who was inexperienced and young, made the decision to walk the 20 meters down the hill to investigate what was going on. However, Chris froze when he saw the beast up close. What seemed to be a large gray dog at first was actually a massive wild wolf. The beast gave a nasty growl and bared its teeth upon noticing the guy. The gold digger closed his eyes and accepted his fate, for there was no way out. It did not, however, move. Upon opening his eyes, the man saw that the untamed animal had become entangled in a trap set by poachers. Not only was it a mother wolf feeding her young, but it was also a male wolf. Although it was clear that the animal needed assistance, the she-wolf refused to let the man to approach, and he himself wasn't very enthusiastic about the prospect. Chris was sweating and his mouth was dry. Put yourself in his shoes. He was alone in the woods, and no one could save him even if there were other wolves nearby. What, though, could he do? Will you let the poor animal perish? Chris understood that the puppies may still be alive and that the wolf den might be nearby, so maybe that's what someone else would do. All he had to do was locate them and deliver them to their mother. The paw prints covered a large area. The man asked himself, "What am I doing?" He could feel the fear setting in as he followed the footprints farther and further away from the camp. Before he could locate the den containing the puppies, the man had to trek through many kilometers of snow. The young dogs were fearful of Chris as he approached, just like any other baby would when they saw such a large, frightening human. Chris made the decision to deceive them since there was no time for deliberation. He chose to place some food he had with him next to the den's entrance, and it worked. The puppies, who had clearly been famished for some time, snatched Chris's fingers and started to suck on them. The father concluded that their mother had most likely spent many days in the trap. He pulled out a bag he carried and placed the puppies inside. It took him nearly an hour to return, during which the puppies continued to cry out, struggle inside the bag, and even attempt to snarl. The man heard a loud groan even before he reached the mother wolf. The mother most likely detected the puppy's scent. The 4 puppies ran to their mother, wailing loudly, as the man unfastened the sack containing the small ones. Right away, they buried themselves in her tummy and started making loud chewing noises. The mother wolf caressed her pups and peered warily at the traveler to see what she was up to. The man made many attempts to assist the wolf in freeing herself from the trap, but each time the wolf noticed him approaching, she snarled. With some meat left over, our hero gave the wolf a couple pieces. To his astonishment, though, she declined to eat it, possibly thinking there was a catch. Chris remained there till the late hours of the night, observing the family. He went back to his camp when it grew dark, but he kept what had transpired to himself. When everyone left to work the following day, Chris made the decision to eat more and return to the wolf. The mother was warming her puppies when the gold digger saw that the meat had been consumed. This continued for a few days. The young man would feed the animal every morning, but she would not stop growling at him. But the puppies started to trust the man every day. They cheerfully bounced around him and kissed his hands on the 3rd day already. The mother kept a close eye on the puppies while the guy petted them, and she would call them over as soon as his hands touched the puppies. The stranger lacked her trust. For a week, Chris visited the trapped mother and her pups every day. He had almost given up on ever freeing her, but what else could he do? Let them all die? On the morning of the 7th day, our hero fed the wolf as usual, and she watched him intently. Eventually, the guy looked up and saw that the mother wolf was waving her tail a little, which was a victory. Chris approached the animal very slowly, breathing heavily, and managed to open the trap, releasing the mother, who fled a few meters while calling for her pups to follow her. The family then took refuge in the dense forest. Chris, our hero, never thought he would see them again. The man went back to his Jersey home a week later. He had already moved on from this narrative, only sometimes sharing it with his closest friends, but none of them found it credible. It has been 5 years since these incidents. After starting to work for a finishing firm, our hero found himself back in Alaska, not too far from that location. The man had to deliver a letter to the nearby village one day. He rode out on his snowmobile early in the morning, but it broke down en route. He made every attempt to restart it, but it was unresponsive. It was really chilly. It was growing dark, but the settlement was just a few kilometers away. After traveling 1 kilometer, he noticed a shadowy figure approaching. Being alone away from the settlement, especially after dark, meant suicide, as everyone in the area knew. There was no way out of a pack of wolves, and danger lurked everywhere. Chris went into a panic. He sensed that a flock of raptors was keeping a close eye on him. He observed as they deftly encircled him, circling their target and gradually drawing nearer to him. 5 big wolves were seen to him. Chris was already bidding his life farewell in his mind. He collapsed to his knees, unable to even stand due to the force of his rapid heartbeat and labored breathing. A predator was moving toward him. It halted a few meters away, but it took its time attacking the man. Even though he was terrified, Chris was able to identify the wolf by looking into its eyes. It was the same mother wolf. It was unmistakably her, even though she was much older and her fur had become boring. The beast stiffened up as it observed the man intently. After less than a minute of staring at each other, she went back into the jungle and waved her tail a few times. The pack as a whole soon followed. This time, the journeyer arrived at the settlement without incident, and the saved animal vanished forever into the snow. As fate would have it, a wolf and her young were spared from certain death one day by a man, and the wolf returned the favor years later. The dog receives adequate washing, trimming, and care when it is brought to the groomer. Usually, when we leave our dogs there, we have no idea exactly what happens. When the pet owners aren't there, what does this dog groomer do with the dogs? Everyone was astonished at what this dog groomer, who was being videotaped, did to the dogs. Jan Kardak is a dog groomer in the state of Ceará, Brazil. Jan Kardak is his name, and he appears to genuinely care about the animals who visit his place of employment each day. He is employed in a pet grooming business named Pet and Groomer. For a fee, they trim and clean certain animals at their establishment. After the groomer is finished, the owner departs for a bit and returns at a later time that is not specified. This dog groomer is not your typical dog groomer. Everyone was astonished by what he did to the canines. The film must have been captured by the building's security cameras. The groomer was just being himself with all the animals, and he had no idea that he was being recorded. Everyone was stunned by what the cameras captured while no one else was present. It's wonderful to see someone who genuinely cares for the comfort of the animals, as opposed to someone who only considers going to work, collecting their paycheck, and going home. Few individuals give a damn. Most just want to finish the task at hand as quickly as possible. You have to be willing to go above and beyond in order to be an excellent dog groomer. The dog groomer does a fantastic job of putting his clients at ease. In the video, a dog groomer is seen dancing and having fun with a golden retriever while also attempting to clean the animal. It's the cutest and kindest thing that someone can do. Even though it was completely unexpected, seeing it was really energizing. The dog is occupied and the groomer's workstation is entertaining despite the ridiculous dance the dog is performing. He posted something on Pet and Groomer's official Instagram profile after the video was uploaded and became viral. He penned a little note for each of them. It says this: "Taking care of pets is not and never will be a work. Rather, it is a time committed to love, a love that overcomes all the challenges that animals encounter." And it makes us really pleased to know that despite the upheaval in our lives, love for animals endures. This demonstrates how much he values the animal's sense of security and safety. It also demonstrates his loving, pure, and caring nature. I'm glad to report that this dog groomer is knowledgeable on how to handle things properly. In addition, Jan Kardak maintains his own Instagram account, where he posts a variety of entertaining and educational videos featuring the dogs he trains. He never seems to lose his really joyful and upbeat touch, whether he's dancing with the dogs or just sliding over the floor and grinning. In addition, he displays the before and after washing and clipping of some of the cleanest canines ever, dogs sporting braids. You can watch him dancing once more in the most recent video he sent us, this time alongside a tiny, incredibly animated Pomeranian. His positive attitude makes the dog very happy as he smiles at the camera. He seems to be boosting the dogs simply by being joyful. The dog lets out a little happy leap. Isn't it just about the sweetest thing imaginable? All of these films are also shared on his TikTok account, although his activity on Instagram is higher. The first video he posted on TikTok is also the one that has received the most views. You can see how everyone who works there dances in one of the films, going about their daily business of dancing with the dogs. Seeing how others have followed in his footsteps is really inspiring. This groomer turned out to be a true role model. He was dancing with the dogs in the video, and it instantly went viral. Since it was posted in January, it has gotten a lot of love and likes. Everyone is appreciative of the love and effort he devotes to his task of caring for all the pets, which is very appreciated as love is currently in high demand. He added a significant number of new followers to his Instagram profile as a result of the video receiving thousands of likes. He currently has over 25,000 followers, which is quite appropriate for such a wonderful and giving person. Seeing someone develop is wonderful, isn't it? The majority of dog groomers truly like what they do, and they do excellent work. Regretfully, not all people they come across online are kind to them. It is hoped that this tale may alter perceptions and impart a valuable lesson to all. Dog groomers ought to be given greater recognition. Jan Kardak is the epitome of a wonderful soul and an excellent dog groomer. Todd Shelley. Recently, a large number of groomers have experienced cyberbullying. Dog groomer Todd Shelley made the decision to take action in order to provide a place where all dog groomers would feel comfortable and protected. It all began when dog groomers received disparaging texts, and a few of them were even the targets of cyberbullying. This dissatisfaction was the complete opposite of what the dog grooming industry stood for. The majority of groomers rank among the most compassionate and friendly individuals. Sad as it may seem, there are occupations where mistreatment of employees is even more common. However, none of these positions require that kind of hostility. In an effort to stop the negativity from spreading, Shelley created a brand new Facebook community where dog groomers could join to share experiences and get encouragement. They exchange life stories and even rediscover their passion for their work. This is also the reason that the majority of them view it as a wonderful thing they are doing for the community, rather than as a job. Groomers, Uplifting Groomers is the name of the group. Shelley designed this area as a haven from the bad news. He performed a nice deed for the community even though he was primarily motivated by self-interest. I wanted to create a space to affirm great ideas and great people, he said. Really, it was self-serving. I was looking for an online space that was encouraging and devoid of criticism. I intended to create a Facebook community where individuals could go to read encouraging messages. People, in my opinion, are starved for quality food. The reaction to this group's formation was incredible. 2,000 new members joined the organization in 2 months. With a brief statement, Shelley opened the discussion. A group where groomers can go for a jolt of positivity. Please tell inspiring tales about your classmates, co-workers, dogs, customers, etc. Occasionally, he substitutes questions to maintain the group's vitality. The stories just keep rolling in, one after another. Every story is inspirational, touching, and occasionally even a little depressing. But all in all, a lot of positive is contributed by everyone. A 13-year-old girl who groomed her own dog was the subject of one of these inspirational tales. She performed admirably right away. She became aware of it and began her work as a dog groomer after observing her mother and grandmother do it before her. This single tale serves as an illustration of several more wonderful tales that were eventually allowed to be told to a global audience. We encouraged new members to share with us what the Facebook page meant to them. The majority of the replies spoke about how they no longer felt so alone and that they had discovered camaraderie rather than rivalry, which is fantastic because there are people in some workplaces who despise one another. Of course, this Facebook group has an excessively happy side, but there is also a lot of sorrow and tragic tales on there as well. There are anecdotes of people discussing their diagnosis and pet losses with others in order to feel some comfort and maybe receive the assistance they require. Positive energy may always be introduced into these trying and depressing situations, since, in the end, everyone requires assistance. It's comforting to know that help is so easily accessible, just a few keystrokes away. One lady, for example, had wonderful feedback after disclosing her condition. She even reported feeling as though she could move mountains. That's how much love and support she received from other people. The people support her and are always willing to provide a hand. Another groomer posted a picture of their recently deceased cat on social media, and a few days later, she received a gift from an unknown person. One of the most kind things someone could do for her was to give her a wooden plaque with an image of her deceased cat etched on it as a memento. They may be in the same boat, therefore, even if they don't know each other personally, they still care about one another. However, there are other things on the page than this. In addition, there are a lot of job advertisements, casual chats, and basic discussion. One such exchange involves a groomer who recently relocated across the nation and is seeking for work. In actuality, this is a terrific approach to get a new job, as well as an excellent technique to establish an emotional connection with your workers. You could even be able to submit an advertisement or inquire about employment interest if you run your own company. In the same manner that Jan did with the dogs, Shelley did a fantastic job of creating a pleasant environment and uniting people here. Rather than considering dog grooming as a profession, they view it as a noble endeavor that they will always be happy to undertake. Individuals standing up for one another and for animals. Has this ever been how you danced with your dogs? We are interested in knowing what you think. Tell us in the comments if you have anything more to add, or if you have a story you'd want to tell the world. We sincerely hope you like these tales, and we hope to see you again in the video's comments area. Milo and the Bone Digger. It is well knowledge that animals may form strange friendships. Sometimes, animals form unusual alliances with each other because of their mutual friendliness or because they happen to be thrown together by circumstance. Some people find these odd couples amusing, and they frequently have really cute dynamics. However, research on strange animal partnerships has scientific advantages as well. These animals will make you smile and renew your confidence in friendship and love if you've had enough of the conflicts and hardships you encounter on a daily basis. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. It's difficult to find a true buddy, but when you do, it completely transforms your life. Huge male lion named Bone Digger. With a massive 500-pound weight, he possesses the potential to be a deadly predator that might pose a threat to humans just like any other lion. He does, however, have a tender heart and a particular place in his life for Milo. Despite having vastly different beginnings and being poles apart in terms of their friendship, these two friends were drawn together by the hardships they endured. They are now indivisible in Winewood, Oklahoma, USA. There is an animal park called GW Exotic Animal Park where Milo and Bone Digger coexist. Even though Milo isn't really an unusual animal, his friendship with the Jungle King brings him prominence. Although there are other dachshunds in the wildlife park and they are all friendly with the lion, Milo is unquestionably his favorite. Mr. Reininka reared the two. With his remarkable ability to connect with animals, this guy has given them a park home that nurtures the extraordinary relationships they have developed. I highly recommend reading about Mr. Reinke as well. We'll talk a little bit about his background soon. It is, after all, a crucial aspect of Milo and Bone Digger's tale. The man in charge of taking care of the animals is Mr. Reinke, and he adores them. Despite having 2 prosthetic legs and being a double amputee, he doesn't let it stop him in the slightest. In fact, he's become so dependent on his legs that he's turned his attention to healing sick animals as well. Bone Digger is most at ease with his human when he is stretched out across Mr. Reinke's prosthetic legs, and Mr. Reinke is more than delighted to get up close and personal with the lion. The massive lion Bone Digger is crippled by health problems that interfere with almost all he does. He has a metabolic bone condition, which means he has to cope with fatigue and health problems all the time. In addition to producing chronic pain, it weakens him and gives him persistent troubles. He manages the illness effectively, although a lot of that is because to Milo's company, Milo is always there for his friend to lift his spirits and keep him engaged in life, even when the lion is having a rough time or his disease is making it difficult for him to walk. The friendship has a very particular purpose, and Bone Digger's whereabouts would remain unknown without Milo. When Bone Digger roars loudly, Milo huffs back at him, clearly advising him to quiet down, rather than hiding or running away like a typical dog would. There is undoubtedly a distinct communication style used by the animals, even if nobody really knows what they are talking about. Along with Milo and the other dachshunds that reside on the animal farm, Bone Digger is also more than eager to share his supper. Mr. Reinke finds this dynamic to be peculiar and surprising. Given his stature and the fact that most lions are somewhat aggressive when it comes to eating, Bone Digger could very easily take the entire feast for himself. However, he cordially asks his pals to supper. To be honest, this stunning and kind lion has a lot to teach us all. It's unlikely that you would witness a lion and a dachshund, 2 little animals, interacting as best friends in the wild. These two might never have met in another setting, but in the animal park they can spend time together, playing, sleeping, and conversing in their own special ways. Despite their disparate sizes, Bone Digger always takes great care not to damage his closest companion when they cuddle and play fight. Even their naps and meals are shared. It's quite cute. Marimo and Fuku. As human beings, we frequently make an effort to choose our companions carefully. We are taught this at a young age, and we make every effort to select companions who share our beliefs and aspirations and who also encourage us. You put a lot of effort into making sure your friends see the best side of you, and you hope that they will do the same. In general, choosing and forming friendships can be challenging. When the conditions are correct, animals may avoid all of the games that people engage in. They can see right through to each other's heart's magnificence. Granted, animals must be given the proper chance to get to know one another and form bonds, much like people do when they meet their own best friend. It's one of the most exquisite things we may witness when this occurs. It gives us motivation and hope that perhaps in the future we will be able to recognize just the beauty that exists within and be equally blind to the outer world. A devoted customer named Fuku frequents a well-known cafe in Japan. 5-year-old Fuku is a little owl that likes spending time there. It may get really lonely to spend the entire day there, as you might imagine. Marimo, a little 2-month-old kitten, came in one day from the street. What do you suppose transpired? Given that owls and cats don't usually get along, the staff at the cafe was taken aback when Fuku and Marimo formed an instant friendship unlike any other. But these two are only one pea in a pod. As many cat owners will confirm, cats often require some time to get used to new mates, but tiny Marimo didn't require that. In just a few minutes, they were hooked to one another's hips, and Fuku doesn't seem to mind that he has a new kitty companion. Early on, they both discovered they had nothing to be afraid of. It was almost as though they knew each other wasn't going to hurt them, because they were so comfortable hugging. The crew was in complete shock to witness an owl and a cat cuddling up in front of them. They then started taking pictures of the two pals. The employees used to make jokes about how it seemed like they were long-lost siblings or even reunited lovers from a previous life. How do you feel? Fuku and Marimo both enjoy cuddling. The two have been inseparable from the start of their acquaintance. Since then, they have frequently been seen together, enjoying each other's company even when they aren't snuggling. Before Marimo arrived, Fuku had a few other owl friends, but he had never had a best buddy of any kind, much less a feline one. Marimo changed Fuku into a whole different owl. It's evident from the couple's pictures how much they adore one another. Ever witness a kitten so devoted to its owner? Marimo seemed to have known that Fuku was in need of a real buddy. Fuku and Marimo grew so close to one another that it was hard to tell who was the real Fuku and who was Marimo when they snuggled up for a cuddle. All they were was a charming, tiny ball of feathers and fur. Being together all the time in the same location never grew old to them. They always came up with inventive, enjoyable ways to pass the time. While Marimo was a total early riser, Fuku occasionally had a cranky morning. Even so, Marimo consistently offered Fuku room in the mornings. After all, Fuku was a night owl who needed coffee to wake up. Marimo was more than happy to wait for his friend to get up. He was aware that they would set out for another exciting adventure day as soon as Fuku was prepared. No matter where they traveled, they had each other at all times. Their relationship was distinct and indisputable. Have you ever heard of a cat and an owl coexisting peacefully like this pair? The staff does not want the animals to leave the cafe until they are traveling somewhere together, even when other animals have found their permanent homes. This dynamic couple would be giving these fluffy balls a loving home if they were adopted. Not only are they really cute, but they are also quite well behaved. How much more is there to ask for? Adorable best friends Fuku the owl and Marimo the kitten enjoy hanging around, playing, and napping together in their house in the Hukulao coffee shop in Osaka, Japan. Though it also offers amusing crafts and commodities with owl themes and welcomes other owls on occasion, it appears that these two are the main attraction. In Japan and other parts of the world, owl cafes are growing in popularity. We've also written about various pubs and cafes in London and Tokyo. Before giving an owl cafe your business, please make sure they've taken all reasonable steps to safeguard the owl's comfort and safety. In Japan, there is a growing trend of cafes featuring live captive owls, such as Hukulao Coffee, where Fuku-chan resides. The cafe lets customers pet and engage with owls who live in a habitat within the restaurant, serving coffee with a side of caged wildlife. Perhaps Fuku-chan's bond with Marimo provides him with a unique sense of solace in the terrifying life he leads in the cafe. It's unlikely that Fuku-chan will be able to live in the wild, where he could make a lot of owl friends on his own. But it's a tiny comfort that he has discovered Marimo to be such a kind buddy. These owl cafes could emulate the popularity of cat cafes, which originated in Japan and then extended to other countries. Owls, however, are not pets that want human proximity, unlike cats. It only goes to show that, despite the fact that a lot of us look different from one another, there are undoubtedly certain things in common that will make us lifelong friends. These tales demonstrate how, sometimes, animals may be far superior than us. Simply said, they don't give a damn about size or species distinctions. Animals have a lifelong loyalty to their pals. What additional touching tales of animal partnerships exist? We would love to hear your thoughts, so please share them in the comments section below. I appreciate you seeing. Until we meet again. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.